Ding dong, ding dong. It's Carolyn here. Thank you very, very much to everyone who is going to be joining us for the penultimate event in the Extraordinary Women's Series. My name is Carolyn Shavaro. I'm the Chief Focus Marketing Officer, and I am a marketing consultant. But tonight we're going to go and continue with the series. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing Mitzi Motley, or as she's known better as, I'm going to read this, mom, wife, daughter, student, and child advocate. Mitzi is an extraordinary woman, and tonight she will be telling us a little bit about her life and her passions and what really drives her. I've known Mitzi for many, many years, and she truly is one cool lady. So I would like to introduce Mitzi. Mitzi, hi.
Hey.
We're going to start with, as we have before, with the two parts of this series. First is a quick rapid fire questions, and then the second, as we have done the previous weeks every Monday night, it is getting down to the nitty gritty. So someone is here, I just don't see who it is. Hello, who is ever here? Hi. Okay, you ready to roll, Mitzi?
Sure.
Okay, so what do you drink first thing in the morning, coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee, definitely. And then I have a bottle of water along with it. So I call it like a chaser with my coffee.
Okay, very good. Straight water?
Straight water.
Okay.
With my coffee.
With your coffee. All right. Do you have a morning ritual?
I do. I get out of bed. Well, first I thank God for the day ahead of me and spend a moment or two. And then I get out of bed, get my daughter out of bed, get her ready. Go downstairs. I put my first load of laundry in, come back upstairs, have my first cup of coffee of the day, get my daughter on the bus. And I do about 20 to 25 minutes of stretches and yoga while I watch the Today Show.
Okay, so there's a plug for the Today Show.
Right.
Sponsorship. Okay. All right. Who makes up your family? And this is a story.
Okay.
Who makes up your family?
I live in a multi-generational household. Okay. I have my mom, who is in her early to mid 70s. My husband and I, and 4 children. My oldest is 22. Then I have a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And then we have a few dogs, 1 cat, a couple fish, a couple birds, and a bunnies.
Right. Okay. So that is quite a multi-generational home. Yeah, it is
a motley crew.
It is a motley crew. Yes. All right. Give us a book recommendation.
Oh, The Wisdoms of Sundays. It's by Oprah Winfrey. She does the Super Soul Sundays, and she has the best of those Super Soul Sundays in a book. And I have it on audiobook, and I listen to it off and on.
Right. And so you find that inspiring.
I do. And also, I love Maya Angelou, and her book, Why the Caged Bird Sings, is phenomenal.
I've never read that. Is that a motivational book? Or?
It is very motivational. It's an autobiography.
Oh, interesting. What is it called again?
Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Interesting. Okay, I add that to my list because I love to read. Next rapid fire. If I only knew then what I know now. ...
If I only knew then, back in my 1920s, around that time, that what I worried about so much then, about appearance, about schooling, about the job, about what I was going to do the following week, I would tell myself to not worry about it, to enjoy the freedom of not having responsibilities, to take more chances, to travel more, because life quickly takes over when you have more responsibilities, and I think those were sometimes missed opportunities.
Right. Before we continue, I think I need to clarify a mistake that I've been making in my advertising or my promoting of this event. was because I said you were a student at Penn State, but I got that wrong because you already graduated with a bachelor's, right?
Did. So I went back to college at age 41.
Right.
It had been many years since I'd been in school. And I decided that I wanted to go back. My original degree was in fashion marketing. And because I have, at that time, I had a daughter with autism. And I say that at that time because now I subsequently have another child with autism.
Right.
So when my
Four children, two with autism.
Correct. When my first daughter was diagnosed with autism, I knew nothing about autism, special education, special needs. I was naive and I felt like I wanted to learn more. So at 41, I went back to a community college in Rhode Island. And when we moved here to Pennsylvania, I applied to Penn State and got in, and subsequently went on to get my bachelor's in science and psychology. And when I graduated in May this past year, I applied for a master's degree program of special education with an autism focus and then assistive technology certification. So,
okay.
So I'm currently a student at Westchester State University.
Incredible. So husband, wife, 4 children, 2 of which have autism. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us your story on from that.
So, so going back to school at age 41, I had my last son at 41. So I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot going on in one day. And, taking care of a child with special needs, specifically my daughter, she requires a lot of caretaking during the day, whether it's her medical needs or behavioral needs or educational needs. I managed her educational planning. She has something called an IEP, which when a child has special needs, these are the educational plans that the school district must follow and implement. But as her parent, I need to be her advocate and making sure the correct services are in place.
Right.
So I manage her medical and educational needs daily. I shoot out emails to teachers, to doctors, she does something called occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy. All of these are to help assist her live a more independent life. And then I also cyber educate 2 of my children, which means in the state of Pennsylvania, they have public cyber charter schools that are online. So they're a public school, but they're educated from home. They attend live lessons throughout the whole day, like typical math, science, language arts, social studies. I need to make sure the kids are on. I also have to assist them when they're taking a test or doing a portfolio. My youngest son also has therapies, so he attends speech and occupational therapy, so I have to coordinate those services, which are all done online for him. One of his providers is actually out of Manhattan, another one out of Harrisburg. So it's very, everything in our world is done virtually a lot of our day.
Right.
I'm attending graduate school virtually. So I attend classes very similar to this. We have a professor, we have students who are all around kind of the screen, and we interact. Also, my husband has recently restarted a business, which you've helped us navigate the whole social media marketing and website development, branding. And we own a pet care business that does daily dog walks and weekend sits. And we have gone from basically no clients to, becoming on a full load within a short period of time. So I manage the back end part of that business, the emails, the phone calls, marketing, and other areas. So I run a business, multiple of them, let alone myself. And, I have a lot on my plate every day. I think the key is kind of keeping to a schedule. I live a boring life. I kind of do the same exact thing every day in the exact same order. But for me, that's how I keep sane. If I'm still sane, I'm not sure, but I think so.
Sure. So 4 children, again, 2 with special needs, a mom at home, a husband at home, and a collection of animals.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. And a full-time student.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So how did you got there because you got where you are because you wanted to explore methods in which you could help your daughter and subsequently your son, correct?
Correct. It started out like I felt like I needed to know more. And then I was spending my days in therapies, and I was watching therapy providers work with my daughter, and I was watching the teachers, and I just wanted to know more. I wanted to understand. And as I tiptoed through my education, I realized that it was something that really fascinated me. I love the research aspect of it. I love being on the front end of learning why autism occurs, how to treat it. I don't think it's something that is a disease. I look at it as a difference. Generally, these children are highly intelligent, but they communicate in a different way than you and I are speaking currently. I'm motivated to help the rest of the world see this. So it happened slowly but surely, but I kind of got bit by the bug. And I took a lot of my past life experiences, and we knew each other as realtors, a long time ago. I took my mortgage processing skills and I implemented into running my daughter's IEP meetings. So each bit of my life kind of has led me to here. And I embrace this master's degree program because I think that for me, and I'll share that I'll be turning 50 this year. I have more desire to learn now than I would have at the age of 24. I love it. I mean, I don't see myself stopping here. I see myself, continuing on.
Right. Another thing that we have in common is that you're a caregiver and I was a caregiver. And I know on a small microcosm of what's involved there because I wasn't in a household with 7 people. I just had, a parent to take care of. And that is a very stressful environment because you sort of lose yourself, don't you? Unless you step back.
It's very true. I would say that I reached out to a therapist. I mean, I'll be honest that in the beginning, I got overwhelmed by it and I allowed it to take over my life. I think there came a point where I had to realize that I needed some more help with this to figure out ways to reduce stress. I believe in meditation. I believe in yoga. I love to walk, get out in the fresh air. You have to do self-care for yourself. You have to put yourself first. It's like the Titanic. If your ship is going down, you got to put the life jacket on first. Like they do on the airplane. They talk about put the oxygen mask over. If you don't take care of yourself first, nobody's going to be okay.
Right.
And this funny story, but in September of this year, I was running around this house frantic like a lunatic because I had one of our service providers showing up to work with my daughter, and there was like a dust bunny on the floor, and I had to vacuum it. So I'm pulling out the refrigerator, and the fire extinguisher fell on my head, and I got a pretty good concussion. And I had to go to the hospital, and it was kind of like a joke. Oh, Mitzi gets hit on the head with a fire extinguisher. But it was like I needed to slow down. You know what? I was moving way too fast. Who really cares about the dust bunny on the floor with the speech therapist coming to the house? She's not going to think I'm a poor person for not taking care of my home. But I had that in my mindset. It had to be perfect. And I think that those are the moments that I realize I need to slow down and self-care and not try to do a million things a day. I can't effectively do a million things a day. And I think that applies to business or applies to being a mom or a caretaker or a student. It's like one thing at a time,
Because it catches up with you.
It does.
So the next question is, what has been your greatest success?
I think my greatest success is honestly returning to school at age 41. I was an okay student in elementary school and high school and in my first time around at college, but I pushed myself to an academic level at Penn State and subsequently in my master's program that I never thought I could do. I never considered myself to have intelligence. I think that I thought of myself as, okay, I can get the job done, but I never thought that I could actually be on the honor roll at Penn State at that time, I guess 45, 46 years old. My classmates are half my age. You know, I didn't grow up in an age where citation was a part of my education. I didn't grow up where I knew how to do that. I had to teach myself how to use a lot of the computer technology that these students are whiz kids at now. So I think for me, that was an incredible feat, and it still is continuing. And of course, being a mom, I mean, there's nothing greater than being their mom and watching them grow up and become independent and successful kids.
So with this education that you have, that you gathered, how are you going to explore it and to bring it to life? What is your path?
That's the $1 million question. You know, I envision myself creating probably something that works in the caregiver advocacy role. I think that having an agency that will support others that are in my position now, or in my past, helping parents and caregivers become advocates, and also both of them teaching them how to navigate the system. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think we even showed this in the medical, you know, managing Medicare, managing Medicaid, managing the doctors and pharmacies. There's just a lot of pressure, and you don't know what you don't know. And so I see myself going forward with that. The other areas is community awareness about autism and supporting, whether it's a school or a grocery store or an airport, but just bringing more awareness to the community.
Yeah, because we had a conversation on Messenger about autism, and it doesn't fit into a single peg. I mean, it's just completely, and I was naive, I wasn't aware of that each case is separate, so you really have to step back and know your stuff, don't you? And be able to diagnose something.
And I think you're right. I think that an individual with autism is an individual with autism, and each one has it differently. There are some key features, but a majority of them, they all have it, just like we're different, you know. And I don't see them. They tend to they struggle with sensory issues. Like if they were to walk in the store and it was very loud, they might put their hands over their ears because it's overwhelming. But that overwhelming noise triggers a reaction in their body that can trigger a behavior or shutdown mode or freezing or screaming or things like that. So it's coming from the environment, it's triggering it, or maybe they're too hot, maybe they're too cold, maybe they're too hungry, but they can't communicate that because it's almost like an automatic response and it's happening. And so I think that even our first responders, all the people who come into contact with somebody who has the diagnoses, it's imperative that they understand that these reactions aren't intentional bad behaviors, in quote. It's just, this is their way of reacting to the environment.
I have a question. Autism as a whole, is this something that has been around many years, and it's been spoken about privately or given a different name?
I think, the research shows that it's been around for a long time. Why there seems to be more now is because they've loosened up the parameters for the diagnoses. So they've allowed it to be a little more broad. They've also started identifying at younger ages. I think that there is more awareness for families that maybe in the past wouldn't have brought it to
right. And it just simple social media, for example.
Correct.
I mean, and what we do to
right.
communicate. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay. Next question. What has been your biggest mistake or obstacle, and how did you rise up?
My biggest mistake. Well, I mean, I think that my obstacle is that what I have not shared yet is that my husband had a traumatic brain injury in 1998 from a car accident. He's very lucky to be alive. We're grateful for that. But he was in a coma for 6-7 days. But subsequently, almost 20 years later, he was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. he is fully functioning. He's very fortunate to be able to deal with this disease in the best way possible, but it has impacted our lives. And I think that it was something I wasn't prepared for emotionally, as with the diagnoses of my children. But I think a spouse is a little different. For some reason in my head, I took it a little bit harder, and that caused me to get off kilter a little bit. It took me to take a step back, and our life plan had to change. His work had to change a little bit to allow for him to have physical movement during the day and to take care of his healthcare needs a little more than a typical 9-to-5 job. So that was something that we had to readjust. And then I had to use the word acceptance. I had to accept it. This is our life plan. This is where we're at. And that has taken me a while to come to terms with. Just as my children and just as everything else, it's like I am where I am because I'm supposed to be here.
Right. Yeah, we often talk about that. Tell me, one question is, what marketing tool or method, concept do you use in your business? And we've talked about this last night about your business being much more than Jay's business.
Right. So, I utilize technology whenever I can. I use something called a Cozy app, which it is like a calendar. So I put all the kids' schedules on there. It connects with my Google Calendar. It connects with my husband's business calendar. So I live with that. That is on every device I have, and it's on my iPad, it's on my laptop, desktop, Kindle, phone, everything. So I just pick it up, and if I'm in a doctor's appointment with one of my kids or my mom or somebody, I have the schedule right there. So it's imperative to have. And I think you've even talked about this in the past, whether you use a written calendar or a digital calendar.
Right.
For me, the digital calendar is a must because no matter where I'm standing, I generally have access to a device and I can see that. I love Alexa, and she's going to pop on. Yeah, she's going to pop on, which is through Amazon. I put stuff in my grocery cart all the time there. I order groceries in bulk from Amazon, and this is not a plug for them, but this has saved my life. If I needed a thermometer the other day because one of my kids was sick, and I ordered it at 8 a.m, and I had it by 2 p.m.
Good.
So, and I literally shot it out across the room, and for me, it worked. So, those are the things that save me time. For the marketing of our business, we use social media. I think Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we have all of them going. I connect with different people. We're a small northern town. So we follow everybody kind of as a group, and I think it creates a community. I joined Facebook groups with moms with autism because I felt like that was a support system for me. And it's, it could be at 1 a.m. and I can't sleep and I'm thinking about something and I log on and there's other people who are thinking the same thing as me. So for me, social media is really important, is kind of a support group for me.
Right. Because that clearly is your passion, and because you live with it as well.
Correct. Right.
So how can we as a group, as a community, help you in your passion for autism?
I would say is just, trying to build your own awareness. And if you see a mom and a child, let's say at Target, and the kid is freaking out, don't judge her, offer to help her. I've been in that position, and a couple weeks ago, even with my daughter who's 13, and she's a mature looking 13-year-old, and it's not pretty when she's having a tantrum, and people were staring at us, and she ended up getting a bloody nose, and I'm trying to grab something to help her with her bloody nose, and then she's screaming, and nobody's offering to help me. So if you see someone in that position, it doesn't need to be autism. It could be, there's a lot of other disabilities and differences, offer to help instead of judge.
Right.
Because I think by the grace of God, it could be any of us. Or even take it into if it's a spouse with an Alzheimer's, spouse. Try to reach out and ask if you could help them. I think it's just being kinder to those that maybe have differences and disabilities.
Right, because I think so often we all tend to, in our own way, fear getting involved in a situation where your daughter has a bloody nose, And unfortunately, that's not necessarily the right road to take. It's
No.
to be caring and to help, be helpful.
Exactly. I mean, and I was one of those people who didn't get involved. I mean, I am not standing on some high horse, and I feel like, you know, up until my children came into my life, I was not somebody who stepped up and stepped in and understood, and I was afraid. I think that growing up in the 70s and 80s, and they didn't, I wasn't mainstreamed, you know, generally with people who had disabilities, so I didn't understand it. And I think that comes still today, is people just don't understand it. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just different. And if the mom seems like she's overwhelmed, you know what? She's overwhelmed. It's overwhelming. I mean, you got a kid in the middle of Target freaking out with you know, with autism. So, and then you feel like your blood, you know, you're getting kind of worked up, and as the more people stare at you and things like that. So.
And that's where the self-care comes in as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To do a little meditation in there, and
that would be pretty cool, sitting down in the middle of Target.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, well, that is, let's see who's here. Hey, Zeta, how are you? Thank you very much, everyone, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hey, Ariel. Thank you very, very much for spending a few moments with me today. I really enjoyed it, and I hope everyone has learned a little bit about autism, and the journey that you've taken will inspire others as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's it for today. As a note, next week is the last in this series, where I will be interviewing the daughter of a family of 12. And that's, to me, it's incredible. That's a lot of laundry. And so I will say good night to you, everyone here. Next week also, I will be launching a program that I'm working on called One-on-One, and that's got to do with my marketing services. And so until we meet again, until my next video, which will be up soon, I wish everyone a good night. And thanks again, Mitzi.
Toodles. Good night.
Bye.